2 days into owning this mower. My opinions, for the most part, have not changed. But that's not what this video is about. Oh, it's time for story time. Haven't done a story time in a while, have I? And now that the season's going again and we're doing a lot of work here, I figured now would be a good time for another story. And I can't remember if I've told this story or not, but I'm gonna go ahead and tell it again. The time I almost blew myself up. So, a couple of years ago, I was working for a client out in Plano, Texas, if you know where Plano, Texas is. It's not an area that I service. It's not in my service area currently. And to be honest, I can't imagine it would ever be in my service area again. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about a time that I did go back out to that area. And I was working for some clients, pretty nice neighborhood, pretty nice little subdivision. And I had been cutting the yard, but at this particular point in time, they were having me remove some dead bushes that were up by their house, across from their pool and up by their house. Now this was 2021, so the winter storm obviously happened and it took out a lot of plants, most of the established plants in the area. Even some that don't typically die ended up dying that year, like Indian hawthorns, and there was like a 6-month backlog on Indian hawthorns for a while. It was crazy. But anyway, I was working for this client out there, removing some dead bushes up by the house, and these bushes had been dead for a while. They wanted them removed, so I cut down all the foliage, and I was getting the stumps dug out. Well, unbeknownst to me, there was a gas line up underneath there that went to the grill. Their gas main came in right there at the house, but underneath the ground somewhere there was some sort of a split off, and a little tiny gas line went to that grill. I did not know about this. So I'm over there digging, and I'm pulling things out, and I'm digging, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there digging, and I start to hear this sound, and I'm going, oh no. I thought to myself, oh no, I just hit some water. I just hit a water pipe or something under here. I thought it was, my first reaction was I just hit a sprinkler pipe. Like, oh crap, I hit a sprinkler pipe. I better, and I waited for a second, and there wasn't any water. And I was like, there should be a lot of water coming out here. Why is there no water coming out? And you got to understand, my sense of smell is not that great. It's from years of being in this industry and being, when I worked in maintenance, I was around a lot of chemicals and whatnot, and my sense of smell is not very good. I can't smell that much, other than things, like I can smell things being burned, like certain types of food, for instance, but I'm not really what they'd call a super smeller. I can't smell much of anything. So I'm sitting there on the ground, and I hear this sound, and I'm like, what in the world? And I get my face down up near it, and I can smell something, and I'm not sure what it was, but I'm like, I can smell something odd, and then I thought, oh no, I really hope this isn't a gas leak. And I go up to the back door, and the people in the house come, like they were at the back door. They come outside. The lady comes outside, and she goes, whoa, oh, and she covers her nose. And I go, do y'all smell gas? Is that a gas smell? And she goes, oh yeah, that's bad. And I was like, oh man. So the husband is home, and I'm like, okay, here's the deal. So we walk out there, and I said, I was digging, your gas meter main is over here, like 10 feet away from me. And I'm over here, removing these stumps. And I look down there, and I see this little line, and I mean, it's like this big. It's tiny. It's probably 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch pipe. It's no more bigger than that. It wasn't any bigger than, it had to be 1/2 inch pipe or no bigger than 3/4. It was teeny tiny. There was no way I had any idea of knowing that's what it was. And I'm telling the guy, I'm like, hey, sir, there's a gas leak over here now from what I've been doing. And I did not know this was here, you know. And he goes, the guy, believe it or not, the guy was pretty chill. He didn't seem to care that much about it. So he goes over to the main meter and looks, and he goes, hey, here we go. And there was a second cutoff. There were 2 cutoffs on the meter. One was the main big one, and there was a really small one on the side. And he's like, oh, this must be for that. So we grabbed a pair of pliers and we turned that little cutoff, and the leak stopped. And I was like, man, I just dodged a bullet here, because, you know, there were still some cool days coming up that they would have needed their heat, you know. If we'd had to cut off the whole gas supply to the house, that would have been awful. And if we'd had to get a company out to repair that, a plumbing company, that would have been insanely expensive. And I got to thinking, like, I was digging around with my shovel. I was hammering this sharpshooter in the ground at these roots. Like, if I had struck this gas pipe just right with this shovel, you know, and a spark came free from that or whatever, like if there was some type of spark from metal on metal with natural gas under there, it would have exploded. It would have blown up that house, and me included, and all those people in that house, and it would have blown up probably half the block. So needless to say, at that point, from that point on, I noted, you know, if I'm working in near bushes, I'm going to note if there's any type of gas line near there, and I'm going to note that there could be a potential secondary line running, because this customer's grill was around the corner. It was a good, like, 35 feet away from where I was working and around the corner. Looking back at it later on, I realized that's what this was from. But, you know, initially I had no idea that was even there. And yeah, it was a very bad situation. The guy did not. The weird thing enough was the guy did not ask me to, like, pay for any types of repair or anything like that. I asked him. I said, hey, do you want me to, you know, I know we can hire a plumber or something to fix this break in this that I probably caused here. And he was kind of nonchalant about it. He just said, no, I'll let you know, you know. And I continued working for them for the rest of that season, and he never said anything to me about it. So to this day, I have never nothing has ever come of that. Maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But yeah, that's the time I almost blew myself up. And because I'm here to talk about it, obviously I didn't.